have a special guest on the tavern today. You've seen her on AEW Dark and Mission Pro Wrestling, Miss Reality, Madi Wrenkowski. Madi, how are you today?
I'm good. A little tired, but I'm good.
It's all right. We're glad to have you here. We appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
So you're in Texas. How is it down there? You guys are getting blasted with some snow, or is everything all right down there for you? Or
Yeah. So I actually just got back into town. I was on a little trip to a different state. But yeah, before we left is when it kind of started, and it got really crazy. San Antonio, which is where my gym is based out of, in Austin, shut down the airport. So it was a fun 7-hour drive, which is typically like a 4-hour drive to Dallas to catch a flight to get out. And Texas does not look like Texas. And going from here where it was like 14 degrees when I left to the state that I flew into, where at one of the days it was like 80 degrees, is like mind blowing. Cause I was like, that's like, what is happening? We just switched.
Right.
That's so crazy to think. Well, we'll get right into some questions for you. So walk us through your early fandom of wrestling and like, who were your favorites growing up and things like that?
For sure. So basically I got started watching wrestling through my brother. I literally would just start to watch with him. And then like literally growing up, the only games we played were WWE games, like from the Nintendo 64 on. Yeah. Like all of our multiplayer games were WWE games. And so Team Extreme and Lita actually is like the one who like most notably pulled me in. And Jeff constantly keeps my attention because you never know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure, they're the ones who started it. But then again, playing the game, as you all would know,
absolutely,
you couldn't really play as a girl unless you wanted certain kind of matches. So my go-to was always Scotty Too Hottie to play at.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my favorites growing up. And I think the reason why isn't necessarily like, oh my God, they did such cool moves, but it was like they had a personality that like drew like me to them.
Right.
So yeah. I always get asked like, why Scotty Too Hottie? I'm like, because he did the work.
Yeah, exactly.
What a better, I mean, is there a better tag team that have more charisma than them?
Yeah. They were huge at that time.
Yeah, and at that time, Scotty Too Hottie also had the same haircut as my father, so I thought that was cool too.
Oh man! So, what was the moment for you when you're a fan, you're playing the video games with your brother, you're watching every week? What was it that hit you and made you decide, you know what, I don't want to just be a fan, I kind of want to do this?
Yeah, of course. So I actually went to college at Texas State University here in Texas. And it was just like an ongoing joke. Like I was always like, oh, I'm going to quit school and I'm going to go become a wrestler. Like when exam times came around and they got hard, my mom was like, no, like before you ruin your life, at least get your degree. So that's kind of that's what I did. So yeah, that was kind of like the basis of it. But then what actually really like forced my hand into it, I actually graduated with a bachelor's of science and I got a job. And I was literally about to go to this location to do said job, and a volcano had erupted in that location.
Oh, wow.
So at that point, I had to either wait or get reassigned somewhere else. And I was like, this is fate. And so at that point, I took it upon myself to find a wrestling school, which happened to be a hybrid school of wrestling.
Wow. So you can say that a volcano sent you into wrestling. That's pretty unique. That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about the training school you landed at and what those early days when you first walked through those doors, what were those like for you?
Yeah, so being at Hybrid, I was incredibly nervous because pro wrestling has time and time again proved that it is a male dominant sport. I walk in, dudes everywhere, and there's like one girl. And growing up, like I did a lot of sports, and I'm a very competitive person, and the people who I'm around were very competitive. So I was like, oh man, this is gonna be awful. Like it's just two girls. This is gonna be like straight combative.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but to my surprise, she was actually like super nice, nicest girl I've ever met. No girl has ever really liked me. And so I was like, okay, this is like a home. And everyone was so welcoming. Uh, so I was extremely nervous to go there because, again, like, who am I
Right.
walking into their school and thinking I'm going to be somebody?
Yeah.
But it was nice. It's a very welcoming, very family oriented place to be at. Everyone's super supportive of each other. You make lifetime friends there. So it was very welcoming when I first got there. Of course, I was still scared. Um, at
Right.
Hybrid, they have like a policy where you actually have to do cardio uh, before you can even like step foot in the ring. And so those were some interesting days, but it was very confidence boosting for myself to
Yeah.
get in there with those dudes and be like outrunning them and stuff. So I was like,
Did you kind of have a chip on your shoulder being one of only two girls in there? Were you like, I'm going to show these guys what I got?
yeah. So before I went to the wrestling school, I actually did jujitsu
Oh, that's
at
awesome.
Diaz Martial Arts for like a brief period of time, and like all there was dudes there, and so I kind of had like a background in
Right.
male ego,
Yeah.
and so it was kind of like it was literally like one of my favorite things to crush it. So it was more of a game for me. Like the more I could do better or the more I could beat them or the more I could like show my endurance and the
Right.
more like their egos would get hurt. It was amazing. So that was
Oh
a
yeah.
really good
Yeah.
driving factor for me.
Oh, and that background coming in, I'm sure that gave you an advantage too.
Oh yes, for sure. We did a lot of, or we would do some drills where we would basically grapple, like jujitsu style, no strikes,
Yeah.
uh, tap out. Whoever taps out loses. So that was also really fun because a lot of them did not know I had that background coming in. So they're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, let's go. You want to talk?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Were you guys doing gi or no gi at the jiu-jitsu?
For jujitsu, we did both, depending on the season. Because in summer, gi was really freaking hot.
Oh,
Oh,
bad.
for sure.
I
But
bet.
at hybrid, it was no gi because we were just in our training clothes.
What did your family when you started pro wrestling training? How did your friends and family react to that? Were they concerned, worried, excited for you?
Um, probably all of the above.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know I know my brother was really stoked about it. Again, my family's always been heavily into sports. That's pretty much all I did growing up. But they were also definitely concerned because for some reason I had a draw to contact in sports. Um, my favorite thing when I played soccer was that you could throw elbows as long as you didn't get caught. Um,
Yeah.
Same thing, like with track, it was a little bit harder because you're in a circle,
Right.
and they
Yeah.
watch you. Like they literally can see you all around. But in cross country, there are parts of the courses, and even like at the start of the race where they can't like watch everyone, so you just like throw a couple elbows. Uh, and this was a perfect outlet for me because like in college, I wanted to join the rugby team. Um, and then I realized that to join like insurance alone was like $300, and I was like, I kind of like my teeth, um,
Yeah.
so maybe not.
Yeah.
Um, and then I joined wrestling, which is almost as bad.
So your family knew you had a violent side in you.
I mean, possibly. I mean,
it sounds like you put them through with jujitsu, rugby, now wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think again, my family's very competitive, and then my brother didn't really have a brother. He just had 3 other sisters, and so I was my brother's brother. We would always practice like the moves on my parents' bed. And they didn't like it, but you know.
Now, did he remain a wrestling fan also? Has he always been a wrestling fan?
Yes, yeah. My brother is actually one of my biggest supporters. Don't tell my mom that, because like she thinks she is. But he definitely has a heavy influence, not only on, like, for instance, whenever I do come home, we watch wrestling together. Or he watches a lot of the different platforms, and if he sees something like a match that's really good, like he'll send it to me to tape study. He's
That's
also
awesome.
a huge part of my gear. He helps design my gear, and then my mom actually makes my gear. So it's a
wow,
big family effort.
That's really cool.
That's
know.
super cool. Yeah.
Yes, very affordable too.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
On my end, I don't know about theirs, but
so being kind of like young in the game, in the training, and you hear people talk about hitting the ropes and doing the bumps and the difficulty of that, but what about the psychology side of training early on? How is that? Is it do you find the psychology side easier or harder than the physical stuff?
I think mentally, it's always going to be harder than physicality. Physical pain will only last temporarily, whereas getting past your own mind is something that is way harder to do. Whether it's just going to the gym and having to be the one that nobody knows and having to like prove yourself,
Right.
to walking into Daly's place with AEW and like, I'm meant to be here. They invited me to be here. Like getting past that roadblock that, hey, I literally earned my spot. Like
Yeah.
it's constant. You're constantly in your head, and that's always going to be 1,000 times harder than the physicality of this business. It always will be.
Yeah, you hear so many people, even at the highest levels of every profession, they talk about imposter syndrome. Like when they finally get into those areas that they know they're meant to be in, they still feel like they're an imposter. Like someone's going to figure me out that I shouldn't be here. But that's interesting to hear, because I imagine it would be pretty mentally nerve-wracking to walk into Daly's place. Like, before you got to Daly's place, though, you've done a lot of work with Thunder Rosa's Mission Pro Wrestling. How did that come about? Did you train with Thunder Rosa prior to wrestling in the promotion, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so when I first got to Hybrid, I think it was around the time that Thunder was getting settled into San Antonio, or into Texas. And I would see her come around every once in a while. But at that point, I hadn't got to actually train with her because I was just starting and I was doing my cardio. But then she would eventually like come around. They actually started at the Mission Pro back in I want to say 19 or 18. I don't remember which one. I think it was 2019. They had a Mission Pro Genesis back before it was an all women's company. And that was actually the first show ever that they had. And I was on it. And that was actually my first ever indie match.
Was that your match with Jazz?
Yes, it was. So as you can imagine, my first big crowd, my first like indie promotion, and I'm going against Jazz, like
a legend in the industry.
I was like, okay, who hates me? Like, what did I do?
What was the pressure like for that?
It was terrifying. Like I said, in any combat sport, you tape study. And so I went through and I watched not only like her WWE matches, I was watching her more recent like independent matches. And again, we talk about that mental barrier. Like literally in all of her matches, the crowd starts chanting before like the fight happens. Jazz is gonna kill you. And I was like,
Yeah.
I know they're gonna chant that. And like, what am I gonna say? Like, no, she's not. And I'm like, yes, she is.
Yeah.
She's going to kill me.
Right.
You just walk around the ring agreeing with him.
I'm like, yeah, Jazz is gonna kill me. I'm sure that would be a super selling point.
I mean, I can't imagine like first indie match against Jazz, kind of getting your foot in the door of this new promotion. That's wild.
Yeah. It was terrifying, especially knowing that it was like Thunder Rosa's promotion, and I know that her and Brian, they always have eyes on their stuff. Always, she's amazing at promoting her product, everything. And so I knew, and especially now with the all women's promotion, there's so many eyes on it. Like it is insane. Like after my first match with Velvet, like I was like getting followers and followers. I was like, what? Okay. And it was just, it's nice because she like gave these newer people, i.e. me, a platform, and a big platform. Like we were on Title Match Network, like that network's huge in the independent scene.
Right.
And I'm on there now. Like I can see myself. I'm like, that's me.
She's doing so much to really help women's wrestling and some of the up and comers. We spoke with Thunder Rosa a few weeks ago, and she's such a great person. What's it been like? Because I'm sure if you're working in a promotion, you can kind of learn things from her and get a chance to pick her brain. What's that like?
Yeah. So as the moment, not only do I work for her promotion, I actually train with her at the Dog Pound, which is a new school that she opened up with Jazz, Rodney, and Brian. So I'm there learning from her firsthand, not only how to get my butt kicked, but also how to kick other people's butts. It's a very different environment than I was used to, because she kind of brings she's an international superstar. So she kind of brings that element or the knowledge that I never had seen before. For instance, when she was overseas in Japan, she's brought back a ton of that knowledge, and she murders us in warm-ups. I'm like, okay, first off, why am I standing on the top turnbuckle doing like a million squats? Okay. Like me and that turnbuckle never meet, and now you want
Right.
I mean, my face meets it, but like my feet don't normally. But yeah, so it's nice to see like that wrestling outside of the American scene. It's very different. There's so many different styles of wrestling, and of course, like even just like the Texas wrestling scene, which is heavily saturated with lucha, versus what Jazz and Rodney teach, which is super like hard hitting stuff. And now I have Thunder in my corner as well, giving me like different Japan style stuff, but also like lucha and freaking MMA. And then my first coach, he was super technical, so I feel like I am a hybrid.
That's awesome.
Like my first school said. So I mean, it's nice. It's amazing to have her in my corner. Amazing to like text her sometimes. Like I just send stupid stuff sometimes to her and Jazz, and they're like, okay, like calm down. Like go to sleep.
But that's a great support system to have.
Yes, 100%. I think it's crazy because like as we said, like my match with Jazz, like I was terrified of her, even as my trainer. She's so intimidating, but then I can go ahead and like talk to her about like the Kardashians and stuff, and we talk about how great Courtney is, but then she also scares me. So it's like a nice balance. It's a checks and balance right there.
That's awesome.
Now you've learned a lot from them, and obviously you continue to have that support system. Early on, you worked with Funaki, and because of that, you got to work as an extra during Royal Rumble weekend, right?
Yes, yes,
So kind
yes,
of,
yes.
so kind of walk us through that experience. That had to be a lot of fun.
It was insane. It was so crazy. So Chris Marvel, my coach at Hybrid, and Funaki, they got us that opportunity, or they opened the door for that opportunity. And we kind of went on that Texas tour. We started off in Dallas. Then we were in Houston 2 days for the Royal Rumble and NXT TakeOver. And then the last day we were in San Antonio. It is insane. It is organized chaos, literally organized chaos back there. Like everyone is everywhere, moving around, and it is so like, it's like one of those movies where the person's like standing still, but everything around them is like moving so fast.
Right.
But like everyone knows what they're doing, and everyone is like organized, but it just from the outside, it's like, holy crap, this thing is huge. Like you don't realize how much goes into a production, and these superstars are literally that. They are superstars. Like the way they carry themselves, they just like have this aura about them, and you're like, ah, but you gotta do it like on the inside.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was definitely strange to see like the people I grew up watching on TV, like backstage, and you're eating catering at the same place as them, and
Oh yeah.
walking by them, and then actually getting to see like the arena. Like I was never fortunate enough to like go to live shows like that growing up, or even really watch the pay-per-views, because they weren't expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we know all about that.
Yeah.
We would
Right
catch
there
the
with you.
recaps.
Yeah.
Recaps on Monday.
Yeah. Same.
And so it was surreal. It's very surreal to stand in Gorilla, even though we were like going out for No Way Jose's like conga line, just like feeling the tension and like hearing the pyro and all that stuff go off, like when Edge went out. Like it is a surreal feeling. It really, like, I don't think I've ever felt so small in my life. Like that's kind of how it makes you feel, not in a bad way, but like in a kind of motivating way, I would say.
Sure. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
imagine the energy that's back there. That's
And
Yes,
all eyes are on you. That feeling of just everyone is watching you.
yes and no. They are watching you, but like, they're like watching to make sure you don't do something stupid, but they're not like really watching you.
Right.
Now there was a legend that took some time to speak with you guys that weekend, correct?
Yes, we actually at NXT TakeOver had the opportunity to talk to William Regal. That was so terrifying because again, you used to watch these people growing up, and he's
Right.
talking to you like you're a person. I was like, and it was like they literally had to like pull him out of there, because they're like, hey dude, like you got a schedule to maintain, like get away from these people. Asking him all these questions, like taking up all his time, and I'm super grateful for that. And I know a lot of times people in past get to like do like matches or whatever, and we understood that obviously that wasn't going to happen. It was Royal Rumble weekend, but for
Right.
him, for William Regal to take time out of his schedule on one of the biggest NXT pay-per-views to come talk to us extras was insane. While we were sitting ringside, Devon actually came and talked to us, gave us some advice as well. And
That's
it was
awesome.
like, it was like, these people are so humble, and like they've accomplished so much, and they're that humble, and they're that like willing to share the knowledge.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Like I was like mental notes, like,
Yeah.
Right.
Was there anything specific that William Regal or Devon said to you that you kind of held on to?
yeah, I kind of think the most important thing that William Regal stressed besides of course like in-ring technique and like footwork, is that you have to keep trying to get better. And it kind of even shows, I don't know if y'all watch Keith Lee's 24.
Yeah, it was
Like
great.
even when you get rejected, you don't take that as a rejection, you keep going. And that's
Right.
kind of what he was saying. William Regal is telling us about like this guy, and he just keeps getting better each time they see him. And he's like, you might not think we're watching, but we're watching. Like,
Yeah.
we have eyes on your social medias. Like if you catch our attention, like we're watching. And so it kind of like started a fire, I think, under a lot of us, because it's like, okay, like they
Yeah,
might
that
be watching, maybe they're not, but like someone could be watching. And if you're just staying stagnant, then you're not going to do anything, because clearly you don't have that drive. And that's kind of what wrestling and any sport is about, is having the drive to push yourself. And I think you see that almost in like all of the NXT characters. And I've said that so many times, like Rhea Ripley from the Mae Young Classic to Rhea Ripley now,
yeah,
night and day. It is
yeah,
literally
right.
night and day. So I think that's almost a testament to William Regal literally practices what he preaches with his trainees. Like she literally has done nothing but go get better and become like a way better version of herself. And it's literally herself now. Like you can tell she's comfortable with who she is. Like that's her. And so I think that's really cool to see that confidence grow from Rhea Ripley.
Oh, for
And
sure. Absolutely.
she definitely has William Regal in her ear, and it's cool. So
yeah. That's really good advice. Very simple, but so true.
yeah.
So how, you went to the Rumble weekend, you had that experience, and now with the pandemic and everything, what was it like? You talked about going to Daly's place and the nerves of walking in there and feeling like not an imposter, like I deserve to be here. They invited me. How did the AEW Dark how did that come about, and what was it like being there?
Yeah, so basically I don't even know. It was very, again, surreal when you get the email and it's like, hey, come on down. And you're like, okay, when's the last time I've ever booked a flight in my life? Um, now I got to get all these COVID tests. What am I going to wear? My gear. Oh my gosh. And so it was like all different types of emotions, because obviously working an independent show and fighting someone on the independent scene that you've seen time and time again versus these people who are literally superstars, like it was terrifying. It was very terrifying walking in. Again, you feel small, but like I was saying, you have to like keep reminding yourself like you're there for a reason, like you were invited for a reason.
Right.
But ultimately, like obviously the first time we were there was incredibly scary. But by the end of it, everyone is very welcoming there as well. No egos for the most part. It's like it's an amazing environment to be in, honestly. They actually like treat us like trainees in a sense. We're able to talk to individuals and such as Dustin, and like ask him questions and train with him and work on stuff. And it's surreal. It's surreal that this huge company is taking their time and investing it in us. And so it's
Right.
kind of it's weird. I don't know. It's still very shocking to see myself on there. Even if it's just jamming out to Judas sometimes on Dynamite. Like it is so weird. It is very weird to see myself. And then like you watch Dynamite on TV and you're like, wow, holy crap. I wrestle in that. Like granted it's not Dynamite, but like I'm in Dark and it's literally the same ring, same venue.
Yeah, you're there.
You're there.
Yeah, it's weird though. It doesn't feel like it. Like I'm like, this isn't real. Like
You're just taking a step back and looking at it from a different angle. Yeah.
yeah, and then like even just standing in the tunnel right before you go, it's like you feel like you're gonna throw up, and then like it's gonna be like a mixture of like literally like throw up but like rainbows, and I don't know. Like I'm not sure. But it's like, okay, like this is what I'm here for. Like this is what I'm gonna do. Like this is it's time to fight.
No, when you're there and you guys get to you're around the ring for Dynamite, bring in the energy. How do they tell you who you're facing on Dark? Like, how much time and prep do you get for your Dark match? Because they film those after Dynamite, right?
So I mean, it's not like, for instance, like an indie show, like weeks ahead who you're going against. So it's kind of like anything. Like I don't know how to explain it. Anything can happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So like things happen, things change, nothing is set in stone, and I think that's kind of just the mentality you have to go into it with. So you never really know what's going to happen. You might,
They keep you on your toes.
Yeah, we're not guaranteed a spot on Dark. We're there because of the situation that the world is in right now.
Right.
Where unfortunately we aren't able to have those fans. So yeah, like we're not guaranteed anything there. You work for your spot. If you get it, if you're fortunate enough, and it happens, but they don't really like serve it out to you on a platter, nice and
Right.
wrapped up. I wish it would help my anxiety, but it's definitely a competition. It's always a competition, and everyone's very friendly again, and everything like that. But it is a competition at the end of the day.
Yeah, everybody's wanting the spot.
Yes.
So did you talked about you guys get to train with you can train with Dustin Rhodes. I know he does a class with all the women. Did you get to I've heard a lot of great things about Dustin, working with Dustin. What was that like if you got that opportunity?
Yeah, he is amazing. It is very like the first time for sure, I was very starstruck in a sense. Like he's gold dust.
Yeah.
Like it is so weird to see him, and he's like a genuine person, and he is again so welcoming. Everyone there is so welcoming, and they make you feel like you are part of the AEW family and not like just an extra or whatever. And so it's nice to hear what he has to say. I'm also fortunate enough that him and Jazz and Rodney Mack kind of have similar styles, because they kind of were in the same era for a little bit.
Right.
So I was very fortunate as far as that. They definitely gave me, Jazz and Rodney and Chris Marvel gave me a good foundation. So it's nice to be able to showcase that in front of him and get feedback from him. He's definitely taught me some things. And he's just, it's weird. It's weird to see all these people as a person. And I know like I'd probably sound dumb saying that, but it's like,
no, not at all.
when you watch people on TV, they're not real. Like they're not real.
Right.
And then you see them and they talk to you like you're a person, and you're like, holy crap, this is a person. Like,
yeah.
And you guys have that Texas connection.
Yes, yeah. He actually just opened a school up in the Austin area. And
oh, yeah, that's right. I saw that. Yeah.
It's like, may have to go over there for a little bit and just see what it's like.
Get some cross training in.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Definitely really fun. He definitely has an extensive knowledge of this business.
Oh, yeah.
That is amazing to hear everything, the stories he has, and just the knowledge. It's extensive. Him and pretty much anyone you encounter backstage. so
bet.
knowledgeable. Yeah.
Is there one particular opponent uh, in the people you've faced? Is there one particular opponent that you feel like you learned a lot from just in the match, or you figured something out by wrestling someone and it really opened your mind to something? Is there any particular match or opponent that sticks out to you?
Let me see. I think honestly, I would say probably again, I mean, aside from like Jazz, but that was like my first match. So at that point I was trying to not die. Um, but my match with Velvet was probably the first match, I believe, that, and I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything, it's just a reality. It's, I think, is the first match that I really had an opponent where going into this, like, I was like, I'm way out of my league on this one. I'm way out of my league. Like, watching, again, tape study, all of the things that she had not only done on her encounters on Dark, but like just seeing her career, because obviously YouTube's a thing, but seeing all the things that she has done, and like, she's an incredible athlete, and it's not something I'd ever really seen in Texas. And so I think that that was probably someone who pushed me, not only mentally before the match, but during the match. I feel like she made me rise to a different level. And I almost think that after that match, it's kind of shown in my career. Granted, I caught her off guard with the pin, but I feel like it was like a confidence thing. Like, I don't know, I felt more like I rose to the challenge, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Like, not to discredit anyone in the Texas scene or anything like that, but I really felt going into this that I was way over my head, and people really, Mission Pro wanted me to die again. Like, hello, second show, and you're giving me this girl who's been in this business, who's been killing it in this business, and is on Dark and getting a lot of traction. I was like, cool. So which one of y'all has it out for me? So first Jazz, now Velvet. Like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Who put the hit out on you?
Exactly. I still want to know that. Like, if any of them watch this, let me know who hates me back there and wants to see me die.
Do you have any dream opponents?
I mean, I don't necessarily think I have like a dream opponent. For sure, one day I'd like to get murdered by Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to try, but not anytime soon. I just need to get her gains, and then we'll go toe to toe, and maybe like get a couple like 6 inches taller. I think maybe I can still hit a growth spurt, something like that. But as far as like a dream opponent, I think just anyone who really has I don't want to say like, I'm gonna say the ovaries. Anyone who has the ovaries to actually step up and say something. I feel like a lot of times these girls are just, oh my God, we're all best friends and yay, like, let's wrestle. Like, no, this is a fight and I'm not gonna lose. And so that's, I think, one of my biggest pet peeves. Like, yes, girl power, yes, we're all empowering each other, but I'm not gonna lose. And I know like a lot of people on my Twitter were like getting pissy because before my PPW match, I was calling Roxy out for what it was. She's a self-proclaimed prodigy. like that's what it is. Like you can't just go from the 18-year-old sensation to all of a sudden you're a prodigy now that you're, or 17, I don't even know, however old, just
Yeah.
because she can't claim to be a minor anymore, now she's a prodigy. Like what?
Right.
But that's
Yeah.
kind of my business. And everyone's like, "Ugh, leave Roxy alone." And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna block you on Twitter."
Oh,
Okay, like I'm still gonna see you in the ring, and I'm gonna see her in the ring again, I believe the 19th at RWR. Like,
Nice.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Like what, you're gonna block me on Twitter, then what? You're gonna see me and I'm gonna show you my title yet again. Like what?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Block you on Twitter, you'll blast her in the ring.
Yeah, like what? It did not make any sense to me. I was like, okay, so I'm saying that you're not sorry, but you're not shit. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
blocking you.
Right.
Okay.
Like what?
Do it.
We're still going to scrap.
Block
So-
me, you'll
Yeah,
see me in
so-
real life. You're gonna
I
see
was
me.
like, okay, I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't like make sense. And like, yeah, mad respect. She has been the ROW champion at Booker T's promotion, but she lost it and she still wants to act like she didn't. Like Promise Braxton beat her. So I
Right.
just feel like this prodigy title or whatnot is kind of like, maybe she needs to rethink it, because
And-
it's apparent her time is up.
When's your match with her? What, plug that for people.
Yes, the 19th at RWR. I will be in the ring yet again with Roxy, and I probably will not be posting too much on Twitter because she seems to take offense to that very hardly. And her little fans do too, and they're very quick to defend her because apparently she can't do it herself. So.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say. But she's just one of many. It was just the first one that popped into my head.
Yeah, you got to call them out. You got to call them out.
Well, shoot, I got a list. Let me know when you have time.
All right. What are your goals
Yes.
beyond the match coming up? Say for the next 5 years, what are your goals?
I barely know what I'm eating for dinner. 5 years is a long time. But I mean, I want to get signed. I believe that I am a professional athlete, and I would love to take this full time, and I would love to be able to travel the world, show everyone what reality really is, because the past, I got into this business a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Before that, like the Texas wrestling scene, again, Rachel Rose, Roxy, like their time is, where are they? Like their time is done. It's
Yeah.
time for the newer people who have stepped up in Texas. Me, Promise Braxton, Vert Vixen. I won't say Jasmine Allure because I don't like her, but like, I guess she could be like Roxy and Rachel Rose, but like it's our time now. Like,
Right.
You're right.
Texas settled with you all, but now they're really seeing who's out here. Like they're really seeing what's up.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, before we let you go, it's our shoot sixer. So it's 6 questions. 6 questions that you just kind of shoot straight with us. Not really. They don't have to be rapid fire, so you can take your time
It's
with
fun
them.
though.
Right. Question number 1.
Uh-huh.
You can tell Kim Kardashian one thing. What would it be?
I like Courtney better.
There you go.
Question number 2. Recommend one guilty pleasure reality TV show.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. Number 3, Popeyes or Chick-fil-A?
Popeyes. All the way. That's not even a question. Add another one.
Yeah.
So if you can have one animal to specialize in with your wildlife biology degree, what animal would you want to specialize in?
Canines.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, man's best
Yeah,
friend.
you can't really.
Yes.
I can't argue
Everybody
that.
loves dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, dogs, wolves, that whole family.
Yeah, love that. Number 5. Okay, you have the pandemic is over. You're driving town to town, making towns, going to shows. You can have any 3 wrestlers, alive or dead, in the car with you. Who are those 3 wrestlers?
Ooh. Shiza. Let's see. Wow, that one's hard, guys. Thanks a lot. You're making me think. I just told y'all I was tired. Number 1 would probably be, as dumb as this sounds, Enzo Amore. I gotta stay awake somehow, and I feel like he just say some like crazy stuff. I feel like he has good conversation.
Well, if anybody's bringing energy to the car, it's Enzo.
Yeah,
Exactly. He's entertaining. I would tune in just to watch him. Who else? Shoot, that's hard because there's a lot, and it's like for different reasons. Probably Rhea Ripley because she seems cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's a good one.
And then my last pick is drum roll. No drum roll. Okay. That was a drum roll.
It's the I think that's the best way.
That's
That
a really
sounded
that's a
no.
fast drum roll.
That definitely sounded like. Let's go with. I would go with Funaki. Let's do Funaki. He's amazing.
I love that car.
Yeah, it's gonna be very weird. Weird stuff definitely going down. Weird conversations. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little late, but
Oh wow. That one
we
definitely
go.
sounds better than the other one. The other
Sounds
one
better.
that one sound like flatulence.
here's a fun little tidbit. I saw Enzo. Speaking of his energy, we had a drive-in independent wrestling show here, and
Yeah.
he headlined. And just talking about his energy, there was probably, I don't know, man, there was probably 50, 60 people there, and he had just as much energy as he was in a packed arena. It was crazy.
Yes, and that is the authenticity he brings. He's literally the realest guy in the room.
Yeah.
That's literally him. He's not a character.
No.
No, I definitely think that it would be amazing at some point to be able to be on a show with him.
Yeah.
I would definitely love to get up north. I know he wrestles in Jersey, and then also a little bit either in, I think, Tennessee or Kentucky or something.
Yeah, he does a lot in Tennessee with the Mortons, Ricky and his
Yes.
son Kerry. Yeah.
Yeah, so at some point I would definitely love to be on a card with him.
Yeah.
Try not to mark out, and I won't wear my soft shirt or my Enzo wig, whatever. I won't come in dancing.
Yeah, right.
The show was outside. He came into Dancing in the Moonlight. That was his entrance song that night. So
yes, that makes sense.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So the last question, and this is, you can shoot on it all you want. Who is Miss Reality?
What? Miss Reality is me. I am reality. It's who I am. And I kind of feel like y'all got a glimpse of it. Like you, instead of just like a normal interview, like it triggered me for a second.
Yeah.
When I got off on my spiel about Roxy, my thing is like, I'm not afraid to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to back it up. And that's just who I am. And if you have a problem with it, feel free to say something.
Yep.
Feel free to say something.
And it sounds like she's going to hear all about it.
She blocked me. Remember,
Yeah.
she blocked me. She won't hear about it.
Oh.
She'll hear about it in the ring.
Yeah, she'll get it in the ring.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll be like, play the clip.
All right, so
like, we don't have a TV. I'm like,
oh.
Someone play it on their phone.
Put it over the sound system. So before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media and where they can find Madi.
Yes, I am on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all under Madi_Wrenkowski. That's MADI_WRENKOWSKI. If you can find it. I mean, if you can spell it, you can find it. And I also have a big cartel site for my merchandise, which is in the bio of all of my social medias.
Awesome.
Go buy some merch, guys.
Yeah, go support Madi. We look forward to seeing you show up everywhere. We're big fans, and you also always have a seat at the tavern. So anytime you want to stop by, come by.
Yeah, if you want to come by and talk some more shit about, people blocking you on Twitter, we're here for it.
We're an open forum, so you can come on and talk all of it you want.
Sounds good. It might take me a while with the snow in Texas, but I'll be there.
Absolutely.
Yes. Stay safe down there. And thanks again, Madi, for coming on the show.
My pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
All right.